Today, we're diving into one of the most enigmatic parts of the Great Pyramid, the Subterranean Chamber. Tucked away beneath the massive stone superstructure, this chamber is carved directly into the bedrock of the Giza Plateau. To me, it's easily one of the most mysterious and unsettling elements of the pyramid. Between the deep pit, the strange rock cuttings, the incomplete tunnel stretching southward, and the general eerie atmosphere, it really stands apart from the rest of the structure. Though, I'll admit, those old Edgar Brothers photos of the Grand Gallery do give it a run for its money in terms of creep factor. Today, I want to explore two key ideas. First, what was the subterranean chamber used for? And second, when was it created? Was it part of the original pyramid construction, or does it predate or post-date the rest of the monument? If that's the kind of thing you're into, consider subscribing for more deep dives like this. But for now, let's dig into what we know. If you look at early architectural diagrams, like Pyramidographia by John Greaves from around 1646, you might notice something curious: the subterranean chamber isn't even shown. That's because access to it was lost long ago, likely blocked by debris, perhaps from Al-Mamun's team when they tunneled into the pyramid, unknowingly clogging the original passageway. It wasn't until 1817, when Giovanni Caviglia cleared the descending passage, that modern explorers rediscovered the chamber, and with it, the lower terminus of the vertical well shaft. This is when the more recent era of exploration and speculation truly began. So, what do we know about the chamber itself? There's a pit in the floor, grooves in the walls, a tunnel that heads south but goes nowhere. The most conventional explanation? That it's simply unfinished. But that doesn't fully explain that gaping pit or the deliberate carving of certain features. Could this have been the original burial chamber for Khufu, the pharaoh believed to be behind the Great Pyramid? Even in alternative theories, like the internal ramp theory proposed by Jean-Pierre Houdin and Bob Brower, this chamber is still often described as the first intended tomb, later replaced by the Queen's Chamber and eventually the King's Chamber as construction evolved. But then we enter the realm of the unconventional. Some fringe theories suggest this chamber was part of a hydraulic system, a water pump, or even a power plant, capable of drawing energy from the earth. Others claim that strange vibrations or sounds can be felt or heard within the chamber, suggesting it may be radiating some kind of unknown energy. Fascinating. But also speculative. The truth is, we still don't know the chamber's original purpose. But perhaps understanding when it was created can shed light on why it exists. Here's where things get interesting. The Great Pyramid was built atop a natural outcrop of limestone bedrock, a feature clearly visible in some structural diagrams. Parts of the pyramid, like the descending passage, the well shaft, and the subterranean chamber, were carved directly into this rock. So, the question becomes, were these features, especially the chamber, already there before the pyramid was built? It's possible. Ancient builders may have selected this specific location because of pre-existing subterranean elements. Maybe the chamber was a pre-dynastic tomb, or a ritual space. Some have even floated the idea that it was simply a well, a possibility I find less convincing. Why dig a well into a hilltop when there's lower terrain nearby? More curiously, the well shaft doesn't even end in the chamber. It connects to the descending passageway instead, which seems like an odd route for a water collection system. And let's not forget the grotto, halfway up the shaft, a feature that doesn't easily fit the profile of a simple well. To me, the chamber looks very much man-made, not a natural cavern. The corners, the shaping, it speaks of craftsmanship, not erosion. Now, let's isolate the well shaft for a moment and focus just on the descending passage and the chamber. Could this have been an older tomb, co-opted into Khufu's pyramid? There's precedent for tomb reuse in Egypt. Historian Herodotus recorded that Khufu, or Khops, was buried on an island, surrounded by water, deep beneath the pyramid. Some interpret this literally, suggesting the chamber was once flooded, with a sarcophagus placed in the higher western section. Researcher Niels Bjer explored this idea, pointing to carved shelves in the chamber that could have held a wooden frame, sealing a water pool. It's a compelling theory, one that aligns oddly well with Herodotus' tale. But what if the chamber was always part of the Great Pyramid's plan? Many Egyptologists believe that it was indeed contemporaneous with the rest of the structure, perhaps originally intended as the burial chamber before construction advanced. However, no known sarcophagus could fit through the narrow tunnel leading into the chamber today. There's even a diagram from Keith Hamilton that shows just how impossible that would be. Alternatively, the chamber might have served a symbolic or ritualistic purpose. The late Egyptologist Rainer Stadelmann proposed that it was connected to the deity Sokar, a god of the underworld and rebirth. Sokar was linked with burial practices and mummification. Perhaps the chamber functioned as a kind of sacred underworld cavern. There's no direct archaeological evidence for this connection, no artifacts, inscriptions, or symbols, yet the theory holds a certain mythological elegance. There's also the possibility that the chamber was created after the pyramid was completed, though that raises more questions than it answers. The pyramid appears to have been sealed off intentionally, with plug stones and blocked shafts. Leonard James Promotions.